This was the best episode of ReZero Season 3 by far. Capella both looks and sounds amazing this episode, and witnessing the full extent of her lust authority was absolutely terrifying. Although, if I was there and she did this to me, I'll just put it this way, the city would have flooded a lot faster. I'm so happy with the adaptation they're giving Capella though. It seems like her character animation is getting most of the resources, and that's a good call in my opinion. Subaru's leg just can't catch a break this season, and that scene with the flies was one of the most it is the most disturbing plot point in the entirety of ReZero, and Capella is by far the most evil character we've ever seen in this anime. But despite that, you can call me the Dragon Sword, because not even Reinhardt could pull me out. Regulus just referred to one of his wives as number 184, even though he only has 79 of them. And I'm no TI-84, but this math doesn't add up. Something happened to the majority of his former wives, and I don't think he's paying them alimony. We also got a very important scene that wasn't in the light novel, showing Otto helping Reinhardt rescue Felt, which means Reinhardt is now available. We could have him fight Capella, Regulus, Gluttony, or hopefully not Sirius again, because that didn't go well the first time. Judging by the opening visuals, at some point Reinhardt encounters Capella, but I noticed that the city hasn't flooded here yet, so this scene could be a red herring. Anyway, let's get right into this episode. Right after the sponsored part. Arknights is a fantasy-themed mobile strategy game with satisfying gameplay, amazing artwork, and a compelling story that might occasionally destroy you emotionally. They just dropped the highly anticipated episode 14 main story event, Absolved Will Be the Seekers, which includes the release of 3 new 6-star operators. Wishadel used to just be named W, because it would be an absolute W to have her on your team since she's a flinger class that can attack air units, which is extremely OP. Logos is an elite caster operator and arts master. He's a banshee who excels at buffing allies and enhancing your team's overall performance. Civilite Eterna is an echo of Theresa, the founder of Cosdell City, who was murdered in the year 1094. She's a supporter who ironically couldn't heal herself when she died, but just trust me, she's extremely powerful, especially for lower level players, and you can get her for free just by completing the new chapter. If you log in once a day for 10 days during this event, you'll be rewarded with 10 headhunting tickets, a limited edition skin, a new lobby scene, and more. You can also get a special access pass allowing you to claim 200 Arundum and 1 emergency sanity booster every day for 30 days. Download Arknights right now with my link in this video's description to try out the new operators, claim rewards, and experience the new story. Thank you Arknights for sponsoring this video. So Capella not only has the ability to transform her own body in any way she wants, but she can even transform other people's bodies in cruel and disgusting ways. Now, Subaru was actually pretty competent this episode, grabbing a rock with his whip and smashing Capella in a different way than I want to do, unleashing an attack that could have easily insta-killed any ordinary person. But unfortunately in ReZero, every villain is just immortal by default. Something the anime changed from the light novel was how in the novel, Capella was stepping on Crucia's back here, as you can see. But this episode, White Fox improved upon the source material by giving us direct feet-to-boob contact, and guys, it's okay to simp for Capella. After all, she's the Archbishop of Lust. Although, whenever I see her, I feel like I'm the Archbishop of Lust. However, that doesn't change the fact that she's probably the most evil character in all of ReZero. Regulus and Pandora are both very evil, and there's some Season 4 characters that are gonna be pretty evil too. But the difference between them and Capella is that they do evil things for the sake of their goals. Capella's atrocities have nothing to do with her goals, and she only hurts people simply because she despises humanity. In some ways, Capella reminds me of Elsa. They're both sadistic murderers who take pleasure in other people's suffering. They both have a method of regenerating wounds. I want them both to step on me, and they have an oddly similar color scheme as well. In terms of evil though, Capella is on a totally different scale. In my opinion, what Capella did to these hostages is the most disturbing thing to ever happen in ReZero. Even more disturbing than the rabbit scene. Rabbits entering Subaru's body through his mouth and ass, eating him alive from the inside of his body, was pretty graphic, but it doesn't even remotely compare to the absolute horror of Capella turning people into flies, literally stripping them of their humanity. Making people not people. We've heard of dehumanization tactics in wars and shit, but this is actual dehumanization. I don't think there's any form of torture worse than this, guys. And the crime of murder seems not that bad all of a sudden. What Capella did was worse than everything you saw in that worst punishments in human history video. Taking away someone's humanity and turning them into a fly is a fate worse than not only death, it's a fate worse than anything. Capella is by far the most evil character in ReZero, as well as one of the most twisted, despicable villains ever created. And yet, here we are. Fully erect. There's no possible way to redeem Capella after this, though. I don't care how tragic her backstory is, there's just absolutely nothing she could ever do to make me forgive her. Unless, like, she said sorry or something. I don't know, I'd probably fold immediately, to be honest. Turning into Amelia only to rip herself in half in front of Subaru was just pure insanity, and I can't stress enough how stunning the visuals and the voice acting were this episode. The scene with Capella pouring her blood into Subaru is interesting because she says, "I'm gonna find out what sorts of ugly meat scraps you guys will turn into. If you succumb to the curse, the outcome will be wild." Even as a novel reader, I didn't fully understand this part, but I think it implies that Capella's cursed blood is competing with Subaru's blood to try to mutate his body or something. Obviously that didn't happen, so I'm assuming Subaru's blood was the winner, and I'm starting to think that Capella's cursed blood might have been related to that mysterious disease that wiped out the royal family. Because if you've seen my Sloth If video, then this isn't the first time you've seen Capella pouring her blood into people. I'll link that video in the description if you want to watch the whole thing, but basically the author introduces a new Oni character whose village was raided just like Ram and Rem's village, and Capella shows up and pours her blood into the Oni woman. The Oni ends up surviving though, and the blood grants her the ability to smell the witch's scent, which oddly enough, Rem can also do for some reason. There's conspiracy theories that Rem encountered Capella when she was younger, but anyway, I feel like the condition of Subaru's leg has been getting worse every episode. After Capella rips it off, he falls from the dragon and starts drowning and bleeding to death at the same time while the city floods. And I don't think he's ever been more fucked than this exact moment right here. He's unconscious, missing a leg, and drowning. That's gotta be a death, right? It's one thing to lose an arm, but you really can't afford to lose a leg in this anime. The way his body just ragdolls was fucking insane, and the panning shot of the city in ruins was crazy too. If this is what a priority episode looks like, then I'm really hyped for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, Sirius attacks Anastasia, who looks extremely cute this season, and Capella wraps up the episode with 3 additional demands. First, apparently there's a Tome of Wisdom in the city. That could be another name for a gospel, so maybe Sirius or Regulus dropped theirs while they were fighting, I don't know. Second, she wants an artificial spirit, which is a title that only applies to Beatrice, unless Puck is here, but I highly doubt that. What Capella could possibly want with Beatrice, I don't know. Beatrice did have a gospel that we ended up burning in season 2, but maybe Capella doesn't know that and she thinks Beatrice still has it. Either way, that doesn't explain why she wants it, especially because that gospel was useless. All the pages were blank. The third and final demand is simply not to interfere with Regulus and Amelia's wedding. In the light novel here, Capella says she doesn't know what this third demand even means, meaning that these aren't just her demands. She's actually reading from a script that someone else gave her. Now, who could that be? I'm gonna go with Pandora, but obviously I don't have any evidence to support that, and that's probably because Pandora erased all the evidence, like she did with Amelia's memories. It's possible that Pandora has been walking around doing shit this entire season and just erasing herself from everyone's memories. In fact, she could have been following right behind Subaru this entire time, and we wouldn't have a clue. As for the other cut content this episode, honestly, it was pretty close to a perfect adaptation, and most of the cut content was trivial shit like how Capella's blood was supposed to be black instead of pink, and obviously a lot of dialogue from Regulus. I think they cut this to make him seem even more evil, but he explains in the novel that he isn't trying to have sex with Amelia, he's just making sure that she's still pure. And also, he wasn't the one who undressed her, that was wife number 184. Other than that, I think this episode actually added more than it cut. The entire scene with Otto helping Reinhardt wasn't even in the novel, and they took a lot of creative liberties with the Capella stuff too that really built upon the source material instead of cutting shit from it. I really can't glaze this episode enough. It was absolute kino, Aoyuki popped the fuck off, and they supported her with beautiful animation and perfect soundtracks while adapting Capella's introduction in a way that surpassed even my imagination while I was reading the novel. I always give these episodes a 10 out of 10, but what I don't tell you is that I usually give the source material an 11. Well, this episode was a 12. Out of 9. That's how good it was. Another interesting thing, you've probably heard this from novel readers 1,000 times already, but they finally just revealed that Al is from Japan. Except they did it in a break time episode, which nobody fucking watches. And again, this was supposed to be revealed in season 1, but I guess at the time they didn't know if ReZero would ever get another season, and if it did, Al wasn't even gonna show up again until the 3rd season. So unfortunately, they cut most of season 1's foreshadowing. Personally, I was hoping that they would just take like 20 seconds to do a flashback at some point to show us that original conversation that was cut from season 1, but I don't know why they didn't do that. I don't agree with putting such an important reveal in a break time episode because 99% of the audience doesn't watch break time. A lot of you probably don't even know what break time is. I won't spoil anything, but Al becomes a very important character this season, and the next season, and the next season, and maybe even the season after that. So yeah, cut content can be annoying sometimes, but it is what it is. My name is Echidnut Chansama, and I hope you worthless meat sacks enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, or else I'm gonna turn you into a bug. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep talking about ReZero. I'm out for now. Peace.